Hey, welcome everybody to Battle Pirates Crib Open Mic, Friday night at the Crib. The link's in the right-hand side in case anybody'd like to join. Um, Especially anybody that's been part of the test server, but because it's streamable, whatnot, people can. I guess we're allowed to talk about it if people are allowed to stream it. So let me go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right. Venom.
Good evening, or should I say good night?
Yes. Magic Mike.
How do you do?
And Watchman,
Hi, everyone.
Ben,
Hello, everyone.
and this is Hefe. So feel free to join, and especially if you have any input on the test server. I know a lot of people are here to hear about it. I think we're allowed to talk about everything. It's just whether it's what's useful to talk about. Because I think that's I don't want people to take things that are said and jump up and do them now just to get in a couple days early. Just because things have been changing every day on the test server, and I don't think we know what's going to change between the end of the test server and when it goes live at this point. So, but I'll go ahead and share. I'll go Venom's. You're streaming the test server at this point, correct?
I have it shown, yeah. I'm trying my best to make a hull that's balanced, but at the moment with how the test server is set up, it's proving itself rather difficult. I'll just clear that to start with. Basically what they've done is taken all of the tier 7 hulls and dropped the single deflection and added all the deflections in. So you're going to have a minimum value of 28650 for a single deflection, with others being tweaked slightly higher between the different hulls. And then they've changed damages on hulls and weapons. So things like siege missile, they've been tweaked slightly. Rockets have been tweaked about 50 times at this point. If anyone had seen the previous streams, I think TSM had one for the last PvP stream, which showed people getting absolutely ripped apart by rockets. That's now slightly changed, but at this point it's still missiles and explosive, but hopefully that'll be tweaked by the time it goes live. Other changes are things like buildings having deflections now.
Yeah, instead of resistances.
Yeah, so if I take everything off.
And also, yeah, it looks like we're going to get it on Tuesday. We're going to get or whenever the update drops, we're going to get a combination of Outpost 11.5, which is the increases in armor and power and turret levels and whatnot that we expect with that we sort of expected with the original Outpost. And I want to address something fairly quickly. There was a Golden Doodle made a post today about the transition in the Refactor. Originally, it was just a 70% reduction in resources, time. I think time and resources was originally the way it was stated. Now, the way it was written is they're going to inventory your tier 7 technology. I don't know exactly what that means, and provide you sufficient tokens to refit your ships based on what you already own. There wasn't a lot of specificity in there. Also, we were told that the 70% reduction time is going to be limited to 48 hours. And I did ask the question in regular Discord chat if it would be possible to split that, because otherwise the beyond 40 hours would break the economy of the game or whatnot. But as throughout the idea of, as opposed to having 48 hours straight from Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday, however it works out, is to have one day, the day it starts, and then have another day, 5 days down the road. Because I think there's a lot of things that people will need to absorb. Because basically everything, and as far as the stats goes, everything is sort of changed. Doesn't mean you need to refit everything, but you need to understand everything in order to be able to properly refit it. So I think having a break of, people want to get stuff done the first day, skip ahead, and then 4 or 5 days later do it. I think another really good idea would to basically gift players a certain number of bubbles, so that they can have the opportunity to work on their base, since we know that it takes, if you do get hit, a lot of this stuff takes hours upon hours to repair before you have a chance to refit it. And then there's the people not wanting to lose medals or get hit or feel feel that it's unfair because they didn't ask for this. So those are things I think that would potentially calm people down. But yeah, and Cuttlefish says, does the test server cover the base upgrade as well? Yes, it does cover portions of it.
Yep.
We're not seeing the new defense platforms. We are seeing there's a, I don't know if this is all going to be in 11.5, but some of the things I think are associated with it is a third portal. Also, we're seeing fortification levels increased. And we're also seeing increases in, which we're not sure, some of this is due to the refactor and some of this is due to the 11.5, is we're seeing increases in armor on certain things, and we're seeing, and I'm not sure because these are sort of mixed together, and we're also seeing base deflections added to like the warehouses and whatnot that didn't have deflections before. So it's a lot of things going on. But what's going to stick and what's going to be advantageous to know now, I'm not certain. It's hard to tell because like I said earlier, they've been changing things day to day, and so there's not a lot you can come out and say this is the solution. Besides, the way I look at it is you're going to want to start. I don't know how at this point, but you want to diversify your turret types if you like to defend. But which ones should you diversify at this point? I don't know, because Venom will agree that the Halo 2 sucks at this point, correct?
Yeah, the Halo 2. I actually have a table of damages at this point. The Halo 2 was just pure garbage. It's sitting at 27k, and that's after 45% turret defense. The ships at tier 7 have a base of 28.6 or something like that. So the Halo will do nothing to anything that is tier 7. That has been flagged, so whether or not they change it or not is up to them, but they have been given information to change it. But at this point, it's rather even turret wise, between 100k and 250 or something like that. We don't know the final numbers, so we can't say fit this turret because this will do better. But you can have it split down to 4 turrets of the same type. It's only going to be a 4 turret setup per damage type. So you've got 24 turrets. You probably could fit all of them on if you
Well,
want.
also you got
If
the
you're bored.
portals too, though.
Yeah, so you
27.
should be able to fit most of the turrets on at this point and just stick the ones you want to keep alive on your island. The other thing was stacking bonus for auras was dropped to 1, so you only need 1 fire support on your island.
And they increased the range on that, at least so far, to 75 as opposed to what was it before, 40?
Yeah, I think. Let me just check. So it is a lot of changes. They've tried to make it so that you can fit most of your turrets on your island without having to worry about fire support stacking. Which, yes, it's a good benefit to make it easier for people. But whether it was necessary or not is debatable.
Range of fire support was 30.
Okay, yeah, the old ones. The new ones are 75.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a lot bigger, yeah.
The other change there with fire support is it's dropped down to 10% damage.
Yeah, for fire support 2 and 5% for the fire support 1. So it's less of an influence than it was before.
Yeah. Again, you can just stick all your turrets on your island at this point.
Well,
have all level 16 warehouses at your front gate.
At 75, a single one you can put, it'll reach the second turret quite comfortably, won't it? You know, with a range of 75, maybe even the third turret.
Yeah, you could cover most of your center island. The thing that we're not sure of, that the range will stay the same, is that the what's the new missile special? The new missile special and fuel munitions both still have relatively short ranges.
Is that modified warhead stockpile?
Yeah,
it's still at 30.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that and fuel air emissions are still quite short.
Well, fuel air was raised to 75, so whether or not they change modified warheads is still up for debate. We don't know the final stat if they do it.
Yeah, because they changed everything 2 hours ago, but before fuel air emissions was quite low. So, yeah, like I said, it's very fluid. The other thing that's been a big change is for a lot of people that have slowdown bases, like I did. Before, I spent time reworking my base as far as my land positioning and my gates. Is that before your C-Web had a 75% combat reduction. Now it's down to 25%. And if you load it up with the Achilles missiles, before you had a max of 75, now that's down to 25 as well. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I'm in love with that, because I think it removes one of the strategies in the game. Base hitting is much faster now than I think it was previously. It's kill or be killed, as opposed to there's no timeout bases anymore or anything that approaches that.
Well, I've timed out a couple of times, but that's for other reasons. But yeah, you're gonna either kill the hull really quickly, or it's gonna kill you really quickly, and there's not much in between. And what people need to realize is you're going from doing death by 1,000 cuts to death by one giant sword to the face. It's very quick compared to what we had, and if anyone's got a decent base at the moment that's using death by 1,000 cuts, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but all of your guards going to have to change.
Yeah, because they've gotten rid of both pass through and over damage. I'm sorry, I assume most people would have known that before, but I want to iterate that both of those things are no longer part of the game. And again, people are still asking the question. I'll repeat it one last time. We're not sure what the exact ratio is or how it's being figured, but if you have, you're going to get enough tokens in theory to refit all your tier 7 halls based on what you already own in some way. How that's being taken care of and will it be taken care of appropriately, I don't know, but that's what's been that's what we were told in the forum post by our new GM or whatever he's called.
Doodle something, yeah.
Tom Doodle, yeah.
Yeah, I read that. It's a little vague though, wasn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, that's they've thrown us a bone on that one. But
I don't know if it's throwing a bone. I mean, it's sort of there's a lot of people. We didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for the refactor, so it's not really throwing a bone.
no,
It's preventing it's trying to prevent people from paying for this.
yeah, I mean, 48 hours.
Yeah, that's the problem.
48 hours. How long is it going to take
Well-
people to absorb the changes?
Okay,
well,
again,
work out.
there's two things. Let me
What
skip it.
Go on.
Let me skip in just for a second. There's two things going on. We're going to have tokens based on your existing amount of tier 7 technology that are going to last for weeks. We're also going to have a period of time where you have a 70% build resource time, whatever reduction. It's only going to last for 48 hours. The tokens are going to stick around for weeks.
Okay. So it's not 48 hours to get it all done.
No,
It's a portion of it.
It's
it
48
kind-
hours to get the bulk of the changes done. So things like building the blank hulls, adding a couple of weapons that you know are going to definitely work. You just need to tweak a few things after the 48 hours are over.
Well, that's a little better. Feels a little better.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, go ahead.
the point I was trying to make with the 48 hours, okay, but how long is it going to take everyone to absorb the massive amount of information or changes that's been thrown at us?
This is the second of the tests that I've been on, and where it comes to a complete set of basers that I'm happy with, I'm still not there.
There you go. And you've been playing it, you know.
I
Basically-
have let's see how much gold I've got left.
And you know what you're doing.
I've
So
spent-
when you get... Yeah, go ahead.
I've spent about 50,000 gold at this point refitting and testing different things, different setups. Granted, some of that was specifically testing where deflections need to be changed, where turrets need to be changed, stuff like that. But still, 50,000 gold at this point.
That
I'm
that
still
window
not
of
happy.
the window of 48 hours is
Just for the 70% build reduction, there's going to be a several week time period where you're going to have basically tokens that in theory should be able to refit what you already have once. I don't know about doing it multiple times, which
okay.
that's more my issue. And again, I keep on trying to throw out the suggestion that because they came back and said more than 48 hours would break the economy of the game for some reason.
Okay,
But,
Effie,
okay,
go on.
but I want to split it between, and I think I've already said this, but 24 hours when it starts, and then a week later, 4 or 5 days later, another 24 hours. And that ought to allow people to catch up, unless that's also a problem. I haven't got any reply from that suggestion yet.
How about, a few days before they give us all the numbers, all the stuff, we can do test builds in our base before they fully implement it, before they drop it on us. You know, so at least we've got to see what would work and what would balance. So we've got a couple of days or more extra to work out what we might want to do, what we need to do. You know, so if we was given all the information, we can go into base planner now, So what if we had a base planner that had the new settings in, and then we could play around with that, for a few days, and then give us 48 hours after that.
That would be one thing. The other thing is when I want to clarify the Venom threw out those numbers, because you were also changing over your base. There's no way to get base parts or do anything like that in the test server, so you end up spending. You just end up spending gold in the test server where you might have spent base parts.
Now, originally, wasn't it going to be 7 days for the refitting of the bases and the turrets? Is that still 7 days, or is that 48 hours?
Where did the 7 days come from? I don't think they ever specified. Did they?
I've never seen a 7-day value.
No, I was always throwing out the question of how long is this going to last, because that's
Yeah.
going to be crucial.
Oh, okay. Do you know
They never
what?
specified.
You know, like from last week or before last week when they said they were going to, I know it got thrown back a week. Yeah. And then they said there'll be like a reduction in time, in the build time. So, okay, I assumed, right, I know you shouldn't, that it would be between that, the 14th or when it was, and the 20th, you know.
Yeah, it was delayed a
Um,
week, but that's the only time I
yeah.
think 7 days got thrown in there.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I wasn't really happy about it only being a week, let alone 2 days.
Yeah, and it's going to take a lot. It's I really hope that they have a really thorough sort of crosswalk document that says this is what it was, this is what it's going to be, because people don't want to. There's some specials that have changed that you're like, wow, that changed. Like an R15 eruption pyre no longer does 0 reduction in damage. It's like 20 or 25% damage reduction.
We've got to relearn the game. Everything's changed. You got to go.
That's why I also suggested the bubbles while people have a chance to figure things out, because you can't even look at your turrets while they're dead.
It's not so much a complete relearning of the game. It's pushing back to before tier 7. So when hulls all had multiple deflections, you were on things like splash armors to reduce things like mort crits, stuff like that. So it's just unlearning tier 7 and relearning what we already had.
If all the specials, all the weapons now have different stats on them, you know, it's like, well, hang on, what have I got on this? Jesus, you know what I mean? It's yeah, I mean, look, I'm one of the more technical players in my alliance, and I'm seeing this daunting other guys just like, I don't even think they don't want to think about it, you know.
Yeah, trying to present it and think about it. Yeah, it's worn me out. Just trying to figure out how to talk about it, because it's like we don't know what's final yet, and there is a lot of and there's changes that have been going on in the preview server. It's not all. I don't see it as being all bad, and I think what they're trying to do is create a stronger foundation to move forward, something that they feel that's more manageable.
I get it in the long run. It's hopefully it's going to be better, but the transition is going to be very messy.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to mitigate with some of these tokens, and hopefully they'll throw bubbles at people and things like that. I mean, the thing that I'm sorry that's which I think I talked about last Saturday on the TFC show, is there's a lot of things missing here that are keeping players out of the game. Like interrupted shipyard builds and whatnot because you're at work or sleep. That stuff's still in the game. I'm not sure what the okay, I'm not sure what alrighty. Okay, I guess that's what never mind. Venom was sending us all a message. But there, things that I was sort of hoping that would be in there is like, if your shipyard goes down, because it's hard to guard your shipyards, and anybody can come in there and boom, it's dead. Things like that. And the really long turret repair times. I'm hoping these are things that they have in the works. They haven't shown us that will encourage players to play. To participate in PvP and be less afraid of the ramifications associated with it. Have it be more separate from PvE. Don't let it spill over and impact your PvE game because your shipyard is down, or X, Y, and Z is happening because you went and hit some guy and they decided to do whatever back to you.
Yeah, I mean, if your turrets have been whacked, you know what I mean? You can't build nothing, can you? Change nothing. And if you've done it to somebody else, so as well. We know the repair times are quite long. So I don't know. there needs to be maybe a little bit of a window there as well on that, you know.
At the rate that the ships die, they need to dramatically reduce the repair time for them.
Yeah,
Like
and
you're going to hit one base, and it's going to be less than 5 minutes of your time, and then you're going to be sitting there for the next 10 to 12 hours repairing.
Are you talking about the conqueror hulls?
Yep.
or both sides. The defenders
sides.
are taking way more damage. I think the defender that half repair queue ought to be spun off and be separate from separate from your normal. Like you have a second one that's just for your defenders, because otherwise, if you get hit, you go, oh, okay, well, I have all this damage I've taken. Now I need to repair from that because I only have a 12-hour bubble or whatnot. Yeah, there's significantly more damage that's going on. Your defender ships are going to die, and normally, unless somebody was just wanted to be spiteful, your defender hulls right now aren't going to die when you get hit, unless you got a quote unquote special build.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking in that whether then we was being led down the path of having to get the tier 8. Obviously everyone wants to get it anyway, but whether because that would get in, as opposed to being all the tier 7s now become irrelevant.
No, that's not what they're planning. As opposed to right now. Go ahead, Venom. You can explain it.
Where it comes down to tier 8, from what I've at least seen on the pass, tier 8 is going to be the Dreadnought, or a version of a Dreadnought.
Yeah.
The original Dreadnought was a mort ship, following the line of tier 7.
Beachers or something like that?
Yeah. I'm expecting it to be a remote targeting mort ship, specifically because they've changed the sloth to be basically useless. As I was showing it there earlier, your sloths are just firing way too high into the air and very slowly, to the point where
everything gets countered.
Just counter all of it. So
yeah, I've not used my sloths for a while anyway. They've not been that good. No.
I'd expect the tier 7 to be a version of a sloth, basically.
Yeah, they've said earlier that prior that the tier 8 is going to be, as opposed to these changes in damage that each one does, it's a change in mechanics. If you talked about in the Wednesday show, we don't know what that means. And they don't plan for it to be a direct replacement, but we haven't seen it yet. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. All I've seen is the descriptions in the forums. So,
I got a question for you, Venom, being here in the test server.
Yes.
Are they bringing it back for like more raw damage that you put out, or is it still about the deflections?
The damage.
It's pure damage over deflection. So, where currently in the live server you're going straight for the 360 pass through, so you're just doing as much 360 as you possibly can. This is taking it back to where you need the highest damage you can to overcome any deflections, because once you go below the deflections, you're basically doing nothing.
Okay.
It's all about damage.
There's no pass through anymore. There's no over damage, so it's just your differential between the damage you're putting out and the deflection that the ship has.
All right, so they're bringing it back more in line like it was years ago, like when base hitting first started.
No, because that was resistance based.
Yeah.
So you would always be doing some sort of percentage. Way back at the beginning, everything was resistance based. Then they added in structured. Well, they didn't call it. It was assault deflection and siege deflection is what they originally called it. Now it's ship and structure deflection or building, whatever it is. So that was added in later, but originally it was all resistance based. So you would always take some amount of damage. There wasn't, with deflection, if I'm if I have 1,000 deflection and somebody's doing 999 damage to me per salvo or per multi-shot, they're doing nothing. And so if they're doing 1,001, they're doing 1. So every point above 1,000, they're doing damage. That's not the way it used to be. It was all a percent reduction of the damage.
Yeah, and we've got to work out basically what the maximum deflection we can get on every part of our guard and our turrets and base can be, and then work out what's the maximum, like how to overcome the deflection on our conqueror hulls. Yeah,
kind of. It's slightly more complex than just deflections at this point.
I know, but
going back to, I've been using the King's Writ as a good example for the past few days. The King's Writ, you were adding deflections for the newest item, but you're also running high splash and high evade, I think. So you're starting to balance in, yes, I need this much deflection, but I also need this much splash and this much evade for the hull to be viable. I've got the fleet I'm using at the moment. I'm just testing pure deflections, and it is garbage compared to using splash armors. This thing is just awful. So it's going to be much more complicated than most people will be thinking about. You're not just going straight for deflections at this point.
Venom, is there anything that I haven't mentioned as far as, besides trying to balance things correctly and don't make it, too dependent on one weapon or one hull? Is there anything that, like getting the balance right, but is there anything that I haven't mentioned that you think that Kixeye could do to sort of ease the transition that hasn't already been discussed?
Ease the transition, not really. We've been talking about it for weeks at this point on how to ease that in. They really do need a document that says you need to refit your hulls for this reason. It needs to be very, very, very descriptive, because there's going to be a lot of people who won't have seen this coming. I know when the sectors were changed over, there was a lot of people going, "Why am I in this sector?" There's going to be a lot of that
I've
again.
seen a load of those posts, yeah.
But this is going to be a lot more dramatic. If you if you thought the sector changes were bad, you're in for a nice little shock. But the biggest thing,
those people were amusing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, the biggest thing they need to do is have this balanced right. And for the past couple of days, yes, they've been trying, and they're trying really hard at it. The balances are still still debatable, and hulls still die slightly too quick. It's basically your hull. You've built the hull that you want to use, and it lasts a very short time compared to what we have currently in the live server.
Benham, can I ask you one thing? It's deflection. Now, quite a lot of the weapons had deflection. Have they still got them?
Yeah, it's just dramatically reduced.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, all the deflection numbers have come down significantly, while the armor numbers have gone through the roof. Yeah, like how much, when you get out, I'm in the test server. My computer just goes, when I try to screen share what I do and do everything else, you don't even want to watch it. Just a minute takes 10 minutes to go by. But like your current armor on your outpost is completely insane. I think it's like 72 million or something like that.
It's insane, but it's also not working.
Yeah,
So,
because yeah.
we did a test yesterday, and Rue had put on the maximum pen defense possible, and she still lost her OP to one ship in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Balance.
Yeah, 70.9 million basically in armor points.
Mm-hmm.
The deflections are sort of okay. It seems that if you pick a specific faction, you get an automatic boost to that defense. So I've got currently explosive. Yeah, I've got explosive faction, so my explosive deflection goes up, and then you've got armor, which also boosts that up. It's you can make them high deflections for specific things, but it's at this point it doesn't seem to be balanced either. So we can't really test to see how well it's going to work. And again, there's not going to be any pass through. So if you were watching closely, I got my tank to the island, which had scatterguns on it, but no scattergun boost, so it was doing nothing. I think the biggest thing that's upsetting my happiness with the refactor is the fact that sloths don't work, because sloths were probably the best hull for PvP I think we've ever had.
I used to have fun with them. Yeah, mine have got over way, especially when you put a molly crew on. It's like about 550.
Yeah,
The amount of people I caught with them.
I'll just show the sloths again in case anyone missed it. It is rather saddening to watch.
Yeah.
Have you been doing much testing on that, have you?
FA step to the side.
At the start, it was worse. They have been fixing it very slightly, but still quite a dramatic change from what we had.
So you're saying that it's the sloths, it was the arc of the fire, wasn't it, or something?
It's the arc plus the projectile speed. So your arc is affected by projectile speed, but specific morts have a smaller arc compared to others.
So we're guessing now that this new beat, whatever it is, this new dreadnought that's coming up is going to be a mortar-based fleet. So we would expect that to have a reduced arc and a higher like projectile speed, yeah, to actually make it work viable.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. It just goes from what tier 7 was. So it went from onslaught with morts, then we went to penetrative and so on. If we're starting tier 8, you would expect it to follow the same line. And it being a dreadnought was originally the explosive hull until people started putting cannons on it, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So
The DNX or the original?
I did.
The original dreadnought was ballistic, and the DNX was explosive.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But okay.
But yeah, I'd expect it with the changes they made to sloths to make the dreadnought more viable of a ship. I'd expect them to have it as an explosive, mainly morts with high projectile speed.
Yeah.
Probably not the crazy. Well, I don't know. Are we going to see the crazy splash that we saw with the sloths? Or do you think they'd learn their lesson with that? You know what I mean?
That's debatable.
Well, that was what I was saying. I mean, my sloth fleet, it was over 500 plus, with a molly crew on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could take out an island from. I took out a lot of high bases and surprised people enough. When your tank has got you put something with a long range on it, and you can just hit one of their ships from outside, and then you're just splashing out the whole base from that,
Yeah. I'm just, I mean, my main worry about this is them communicating the changes properly to everybody and having people understand it. I mean, should we bring swag back for? Well, I guess they're going to do a BP live, but I'm thinking more. They need to have a good in-depth, description, videos, tables, whatnot, because the changes are large, and it at least allows certain players to, George or whoever that writes the blogs, to scan through it, create a summary of it, so the players can act forward from it based on the actual numbers that we have, because the numbers that we have now are, ephemeral. So
that was getting back to what we originally said. Isn't it? The amount we've got to absorb, the changes are so big, and even people that are quite clued up on how to do stuff now, and we throw stuff back down to members of our alliances, those guys, the members of the alliances that rely on the rest of us to throw stuff at them, they are like, huh? It's like we're starting school again. We're at primary.
Yeah. It is sort of a little bit like that, but it's still the same. It's still a lot of the same ideas. It's just different numbers and trying to get mostly just trying to get your head around, what the new numbers mean, how things interact with each other. But it is a lot of changes. But once everybody starts using things, I think that people will start figuring it out. That's why I wanted both the bubbles available to players and to split up this 70% reduction across time, and not have it all just be a continuous 48 hours while we have the bacon event going on simultaneously. Maybe after the bacon event, we have another period of time that we can take advantage of the 70% reduction.
I mean, I'll tell you, I don't think the amount of work that everyone's got to do after the refactor, and the amount of information they've got to absorb, to be running around chasing after as many points as they can in some bloody event, that should have been a week where everyone just had a break from that.
Yeah.
Because you just needed some sort of respite, from chores to be able to absorb all the new crap that's being thrown at us.
I think the main reason they've got that out is because it's full of turrets, if I remember correctly. I think that one's got probably all of the turrets that we've had up to this point. It may have some more.
Well, then they
I'll have
should
to look for the post again, but I think there's definitely turrets in there.
Then they should have done that this week. So it was all ready for next week.
It's true. I can't argue with that.
I'm lying. You're talking about this turkey event, bacon event, whatever.
The bacon event, yeah.
I actually talked to CM Chris about that today because I had some confusion on it. And it is going to be a shit ton of tier 7 PvP prizes.
Yeah.
PvE?
PvP.
Or PvP.
Yeah. Well, I think that should have been this week then. That should have been this week so everyone was ready for next week.
Yeah. And the targets are all going to be PvE.
Mhm.
Old PVE targets that are updated. That's what he said.
More painful is I'm reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also said older halls should work.
What should work?
Older PVE halls,
They say that every time about raids and things like that, and
right.
it don't always work. So
Yeah. You can still use your Apollos. Yeah. It will work, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, hey, Cannon Fodder, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, okay. All righty.
We
But
having
yeah,
fun?
okay. Yeah. Always. You know me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
just a couple of things before I go because it is rather late for me. There was a comment there in chat about stat blocks and not being correct. Please do not look at the damage value that the turret throws at you. They know this is wrong and they've known it's been wrong for a while. They haven't fixed it yet. We don't know if they're going to fix it with the refactor, but that damage shown under the attack value is not correct. When the final stats do come out, I know Wayne's going to be working tremendously hard as always to get the turret damage calculator back to working correctly again, but it will take time. So if anyone does need to know how to calculate that, I can give it to you, Hefe. Just the standard calculation for how you work out the turret damage.
Okay.
So you can post it on the page if that's
Sure.
necessary.
I will do.
And the PvE, there was a couple of things noted, and they should be corrected. I say "should" in quotations when it goes live, but there's a couple of specials that have been accidentally affected, which may reduce damage output on specific PvE hulls. So if I was if I was if I was looking at PvE stuff after the refactor came out, such as base parts, check your hull, check the specials on the hull that everything looks correct, because going from a test server to live server can have its adverse issues. So just be careful when it comes to PvE stuff as well as PvP, because we've seen from the test it has been affected there, so it could be affected in the live server itself. And
Hey, Father George, and before you go, what do you feel about? What is your thoughts as far as you're one of the? I think you're one of the younger. You're younger than the normal demographics for Battle Pirates, but what do you feel about the speed up of basics? That it's over. Considering, well, I don't want to prejudice your answer, but do you like how fast it is at this point? The fact, because that was one of the points that they wanted to compress all babysitting into the prep, everything else. Everything would take 5 minutes, including prep and whatnot. do you feel that's a positive thing that it's so fast now, or would you rather it? Because they've gotten rid of a lot of stuff that I think were strategical in the game in order to get this done. Do you enjoy the speed of it?
there was strategy, and then there was sitting for 5 minutes staring at your base, wishing things would actually happen.
Could I
Yeah.
just interject at this point? Yeah, is where did they get that everybody thought that hitting the base took too long?
Bounty.
You know?
Everybody
Was it-
complained because it took because they didn't like grinding on bounty targets, and
I
bounty
thought
bounty targets were all you needed to do was decrease the cost of the prizes or increase the value associated with put more money in the economy.
How long a battle took was more. We complained it was more in the PVE targets. I know technically, all right, the your enemy or whatever targets in bounty PVE, but it was the PVE targets during raids and various other things they throw at us that we were moaning about how long they took. Not so much how long it took to hit a player's base, because that's just part of the game. You know what I mean? How long it takes you to break one down or not, as the case may be.
The harder the base gets on the live server, the longer it takes, and I know certainly from the last couple of bases I've hit that were top end bases, it's been a couple of preps and then a final hit. That's per base, you're talking 45 minutes just to kill it.
What, a player's base, 45 minutes?
Yeah. You're going 5.5 minutes per prep. You could be doing 5 or 6 preps, then you're going and hitting the base. That's not including scoping out the base, figuring out what fleet you need to use, figuring out what way you're going to do it and stuff like that. It does take that long. So speeding that up at least is a good thing. As it currently stands in the test.
Okay, I want to take a poll right now. Who spent 45 minutes actually hitting a base besides Venom? I'm just curious of what, you may be a very small percentage of the community on that one.
From when you first pop in and peek it to after finishing?
No. Start hitting.
From start to finish, from you go in, peek that base, figure out what you're going to do, bring the fleets down, hit the base a couple of times for a prep, and then go in and kill it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, sometimes you pop in and you spend that first 5 minutes looking at it, taking a couple screenshots. I mean...
Yeah, but I'm assuming after.
He's talking about the actual hit.
He's saying
the base.
He's saying the 45 minutes is from that point to the very end. That's the figure. That's the figure he just gave you. Is the 45 minutes is inclusive of the very first taking a peek, trying to analyze it, all that.
If it matters, you can hit a base 8 times, and at 5 minutes, that's 40 minutes already. So if you're hitting the base for the full 5 minutes 8 times, that's 40 minutes. It's very easy to get that time. You don't notice that you've done it until you look at the clock.
Okay.
I don't prep that much, so I don't spend that much time. I mean, if it takes that much prep, it very quickly becomes more of a chore than entertainment for me. I know it's necessary on a lot of bases.
No, I've done that.
I just don't hit those.
I've looked, took a photo, gone back in, think, okay, I'm going to need that fleet and that fleet. Prepping with that one a bit, going back in, and then hitting. I don't know if it took 45 minutes, but yeah, I mean, but if you've got in the end, because you knew it was a good base, it's even though you just said it was a chore, it is that sense of, for me, it's like, yeah, I know I broke a good base. So,
That's what I'm saying. The harder the base is, the longer you're going to take to get it. And what they're trying to do is reduce the amount of time that it actually takes. So, if
they want to streamline the whole thing, that's what it is. Because if they make the stat blocks simpler, quote unquote simpler, if they make everything a little bit more intuitive, it should, in turn, also shorten the time to hit the bases. They're not going out of their way to shorten the base hitting time. It's just something they know is a byproduct of the complexity.
No, they're doing things. They are doing things to. They're getting rid of they're basically completely nerfing things like slowdown effects in bases and things like that. They're actively doing that. So yeah, I mean, it just I think it removes a bit of strategy because I like to slow people down so I can hit them with more stuff.
All right, but if you go through the refactor and you leave the slowdowns in, you're not going to get into any base. Period. Ever. I mean that would break the entire refactor. I mean the whole thing is a kind of a it's the whole puzzle.
It was designed from that way from the beginning though, to make it faster. And I'm just saying, if people are going to pay to repair? Do they want it to have everything down to 5 minutes as opposed to 45 minutes? That was the general question I was
Yeah,
tossing out there.
I'll tell you, Effie, that's a good point actually, because like 45 minutes of breaking something down and having a bit of fun, yeah, but you've got less repairs than potentially smashing yourself up every 5 minutes. You know, you could be spent for their point of view. Maybe you could spend money faster. I don't know if it's going to be any better for us, but yeah, maybe they see it that way. You know,
On the defense, go ahead.
I was just say the faster we take damage, you know, the quicker we can hit the repair button. You know,
it always seems to circle back to that in some level, but yeah, I mean, on the defensive side, I'd be a little concerned that potential options are being removed, in way of speed.
Yeah, I like my slowdowns. I like my slowdowns. Yeah,
but hitting bases, I mean, I hate all of the slowdowns. I mean, I think everybody does, but it's literally, it just bores me silly watching my fleet just inch along. I mean, I don't expect to just race to the back and I win, but it's just from the beginning of hopes and all, I've kind of been annoyed with that because you just sit there and all the things you do. I mean, they help, but so I'll be curious to see if base hitting was faster, I would enjoy it more, just because I'm not trying to get in the super hard bases. I've done it in past, but all the time and effort and all that, I don't know. I don't have the attention span for it, so I'm not gonna spend 45 minutes. I mean, I'll spend 45 minutes hitting bases, but I don't want to spend 45 minutes hitting one.
Okay, if it's faster to hit a base, yeah, I think the base should repair faster.
I agree. I've always, but I mean, it's weird. It's weird stuff that takes a long time, though. Like you can just get prepped and you've got 10 hours of repair. It's like, really, like I don't know. That doesn't really entice people to hit more, because I don't want to spend 20 coins to repair stuff I'm literally putting there to die.
I mean, I've never coined a base repair, though. I've never coined a base repair base ever.
Intentionally.
Well, not ever. You know what I mean? Not even by
I've done it unintentionally.
Yeah.
Oh, back in the old days, that was just brutal. 240 coins or jeez.
No, I hit somebody earlier, yeah, and then like prepping, and then but somebody else went in, and he'd coined his repairs.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, that's just like he'd repaired the gates and stuff like that, and it's like, whoa, it's, no, it doesn't bother me that much. If they want to get in, I'm not spending that amount of money to keep repairing, on that sort of stuff. But I think, say if the hits are going to be quicker, the repairs need to be as well, because it makes the whole turnaround of the game faster. It makes it more fun. And then because then other people can get out and hit back quicker, that can make it more vibrant,
Have to see.
Because I'm sure they can't be making a lot of money from people repairing their bases, but they would probably make more money from people doing revenge hits. So I don't
know. It seems like it has to kind of take away a lot of what is the strategy of your base defense to be able to effectively make these 5-minute hits they're claiming.
Yeah.
Well, I think the strategy is supposed to come from the whole refactor and having, hopefully, balanced deflections and different options of setting up your base. I think they're trying to go back to what it was like, when we originally were hitting, where you got to design the base and it's going to be, something's going to get in. It's just you try and defend against as much of everything else. Yeah.
The flavor of the week, so to speak.
Well, I'm hoping that they don't do that shit again, because I was tired of that friggin' flip-flop shit.
Well, it's been, 6+ years of it. So, I wouldn't say the early on was necessarily that, but and I wasn't around for part of the early on, but I don't remember a time where it wasn't a decent amount of flip-flop. There was a little period, really kind of in a bad year, that wasn't that way, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I tend to think the worst first, and then whatever happens is usually better than that. So then it's cool. But I'm not a doom and gloom guy about it. Oh, shush. Was dog barks and everything. But to me, I'd rather do that than assuming it's all bad and gripe and moan when it comes. But yeah, I'd be shocked if it I don't know if it works out how we hope. We'll see.
I mean, the thing is, they have to balance between offense and defense as well. Because I know a lot of people like to, they love to have the uber defensible base, and I can build this so no one can get in. But the problem with that is it makes the game fucking boring.
Yep.
If everyone has, I mean, that's like why bounty, like people aren't playing bounty because shit. What are you going to do? You can't hit bases because you can't get in. So what happens? People don't play bounty. I mean, and that's, and that goes all the way back to why people bitch and moan about why people drive and why people guard. And I mean, at the heart of it, it's a battle game. You're supposed to fucking battle, not, beat around the bush and play patty cakes. So, that's again, it's a balancing act that they've got to get right.
Well, remains to be seen.
We shall see.
Have you been on the server?
On occasion, I'm popping in to get some data and stuff and see how they're doing. I mean, at least, after the last one, one of the concerns I had was that they couldn't do any dynamic changes, and there were a couple of things that I knew just had to get done. And this one, I really like the fact that I don't know if they're doing them dynamically or if they're doing them at the end of each day, but they are actually changing things based on what they're seeing in the data and what people are telling them as they're hitting. I mean, they've been on a lot watching hits.
They're doing a mix of the two. So, for example,
they did leave it open to dynamic stuff. Okay, good, because I had asked them if they could do that, and they were iffy if they could.
There was the main update, and then one of the GDs was on, and he just told us to wait a couple of seconds. He was fiddling with some numbers, so he was changing things as he was going along. Wasn't just wait until tomorrow to see, which was handy for a couple of occasions. But yeah, it's the balance still needs a bit of tweaking, but it hopefully, I say hopefully, a lot the last few days. It'll hopefully be okay. I'm still having my battle to get the sloths not nerfed as much because I love sloths and I don't want to scrap 3 threats in a row. But if you take your time, actually go through the numbers, and don't just jump straight into it and build stuff straight away, you should be fine. And on that, I'm going to have to head off. So good night off.
And
have you guys talked about the email that the new guy sent out?
Yeah.
Golden Doodle?
Okay. Yeah.
Later, Venom.
Because that led us back to what he just said about don't jump in and start building. And then we get 48 hours. But I'll let you...
48 hours for the 70%.
Yeah. George, I'll let you...
And then we get the amount of tokens, commensurate to the amount of tier 7 technology that we have. I threw the possibility or the suggestion out there that they split that 48 hours across 2 different 24-hour periods that have some spacing associated with them, and also throw some bubbles in there that players are able to get for free or next to free to allow them to adapt to the new situation and move forward.
I'm just happy that they added the tokens. I mean, that was a big, and I'm still not sure how they're basing that. Is it based on stuff that we've already built, or is it just based on how much stuff we've claimed in tech?
Yeah, I don't know.
I would have liked the 70% to be a little bit longer though, because at 70%, it's still a long. I mean, that's a lot of 2 wardens. If I were to refit 2 wardens to what I'm seeing, say, just today in the test environment, I mean, it would be over 20 days of build time, of refit time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's the period of time that we need to catch up, combined with this the Thanksgiving event. That's why I wanted them split up. I wanted, because they said more than 48 hours is going to break the economy. But if there's 24-hour periods also break the economy. Once, give players a chance to figure it out.
how is that going to break the economy when we're trying to adjust to what they're doing? I mean, just open it up to free refits for a fucking week, and the money that you're going to make is going to be made on the base hits and stuff, not I don't know.
That's kind of what we were talking about the other night, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they actually added in the tokens, I'm kind of shocked at, because that was, big old battles and stuff. But damn,
Well,
I was hoping
think
for more.
The looming chargebacks are probably having some, level of concern to them. So, with people being so frustrated with stuff that they've built, by Kixeye's own, workings being created, useless. So.
Yeah, that's been an issue. I'm sure that that I've heard about, and then I know George, you made your post on the bacon. Yeah, that's an issue because if you engage in a chargeback, they're going to they're going to ban the player. So
it's either you either get banned, or from what I've heard from a couple of players that had done it in the past, is that they got banned, they got back into the game, but they're banned from ever coining again. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's accurate or not, but I just wanted to make sure people weren't jumping the gun. I mean, I'm not saying do it or not do it or whatever. I'm just saying wait and see before you do something that may have repercussions that you got to deal with later on.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense. So, have you spent much time in the server, George?
Hang on.
Okay. No, it's just I was just asking what your impressions would be.
No, I'm eating as I'm doing this. I got home late, so
Okay.
yeah, I've popped in a couple times. I've been, like, Keegan came in and hit me like just before I hopped on here, and I'm just seeing how things are getting changed and if there's anything that's just sticking out badly broken. For the most part, I have not went with some of the heavier used fleets for base hitting, so my base hits all suck, but they are very interesting to see how some of the stuff is interacting. I don't know if they're quite there yet. I'm hoping that they keep on, watching the stuff like they've been for the last couple days, and I mean, it's better than it was. Absolutely better than it was. That's for sure. I know that there's going to be. I mean, this is the thing that kind of worries me, is there's going to be a lot of need for refit, because all the stuff that we've built that has, not tier 7 weaponry on, pasture's gone, over damage is gone. Yeah. You've got to refit all that crap. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that's tricky in there that's been changed as far as like, I've already mentioned the slowdown several times, but things that you're not looking for, like, before the eruption pyre, once it was retroed out at R15, had 0 explosive damage reduction. Now it's like -20, -25. Things like that are going to take a while for players to discover, be like, oh, this has changed. This has changed.
Kixeye said that they're working on a list that's going to list out everything that's changed from live to refactor. So that should hopefully they can get it out and done, but one would hope.
And it'd be
hopefully it doesn't come out,
smaller than War and Peace.
52 hours after the, that should be out. I think that should be out, a couple of days prior to the release. I think that would be the best way in my mind, as far as to prepare the players to at least come up with some sort of game plan on how they're going to change the bases.
Well,
and change their
they gotta
sleeves.
finish. They gotta finish changing stuff first. I mean,
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying, as far as allowing the players to be prepared and feel prepared and confident in what they're doing, because they want the players to enjoy the refactor, and this is something that they want. And so, having them be prepared would be a good step in that direction. And so, I've been talking about a crosswalk document that goes from this is what it was, this is what it is, and hopefully they make that available as in addition to a forum post, but some sort of Google Sheet type of something that's available for players to manipulate in some way. Just my thoughts, but yeah. And they're also combining this, which we talked about before, earlier in the show, was the fact that they're combining this with Outpost 11.5, which has significant changes in addition to what's going on in Refactor. The third portal, the adding 3 levels of reinforcement, which we haven't seen, because I don't think you can use base parts for reinforcement. So there's like a lot of things going on, and trying to figure out a priority and how to move forward would be a good thing to have several days prior to all these changes happening, so that the players are aware of them and can plan forward, with that knowledge.
I've kind of got some apathy towards it all now. It's just like I think it's going to be messy. It's going to be very messy, especially when they're running this bacon campaign over the top of everything as well. That's going to keep people busy if they're really going to go for it. I don't know. I suppose you've got to accept that you're going to get farmed a bit for a while. Everything's going to drop. I enjoyed the game. Let's put it. I enjoyed the game. Yeah, but at the moment, I'm not enjoying the game. I'm not looking forward to what's coming. So, in the long run, hopefully, it will be for the best if they get it right.
Are they doing an FM next week?
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
So 3 things.
I mean, the FM's pretty quick. I mean,
Refactor,
for me, it's,
new.
Yeah. I mean, I can have the FM done in a day, well under a day, a few hours. I mean, I think I didn't need much this week,
Yeah, because you won't need much. Yeah, in the next, it's the first FM after the raid that's the problem. The rest of them, unless they did what they did this week, where they reset all your points.
Yeah, I mean, all you really want to, the FM really, it's just grab the tokens, isn't it? And a few the other bits, but yeah, I wasn't. There was nothing out there that we hadn't got last week that wasn't, that was critical this week.
Yeah. No, it was all, if you claimed all the prizes the first week, it was all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was no issue.
No, FM, I've got no problem with running the FM every week because I want the tokens. It's the running the bacon event on top of all this refactoring as well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm suggesting, if they have the ability, which I'm not sure that they do, to release some information a couple days ahead of time, which they've been pretty good with the updates most of the time as far as releasing information early. But this is a huge amount of information. So yeah, I'm not sure what the suggestion is as far as how to prepare the players properly, because it's going to be it's not going to impact your PvE stuff that much, but it's you need to go through a lot of stuff unless there's a good document and good instructional, something that's good and instructs you on like what has changed and give you ideas on how to change what's going on in your base or your base hitting fleets. So
Kind of like starting over to some degree.
Yeah, but not really. But yeah, it's
somewhat.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, the numbers. It's the same ideas, just different numbers. But yeah, if you want to know, what this special does and have it memorized, there's a chance you're wrong at this point in time.
Well, the tokens that they're saying, they're saying they only apply to tier 7 hulls, yeah?
That's what we've been told, yes.
Right, yeah. But all the other refits and builds that we've got to do, we've still got to get everything from, well, they're saying that the best, we've got 48 hours at 70% to do everything else, to learn everything and to do everything. And we've got 48 hours to get all the res, all the resources.
Yeah, see, that's like, I don't know. The problem that I have with it being only 48 hours is that it's not, what are you going to get done in 2 days? I mean, if a complete refit is 10 days, that cuts it down to 5. You don't even get to do one refit. I mean, that just seems like it's geared towards just coiners.
Well, we also got the tokens, though, and we don't know how many tokens we're going to get.
Now, the tokens only for the host.
Oh, that's true. Use the tokens during the 48 hours. Okay,
Yeah,
that's actually not bad.
On the tokens for the
but
host.
my issue is, why don't we break this 48 hours into, do it one day, Tuesday, and then do it the following Tuesday. Allow players to develop a plan on how they want to refit their stuff and use their tokens, and don't ask them to do it all within 48 hours without any knowledge of what's going to happen. And also, like I keep on talking about, give them some bubbles, because, who wants to repair their portals to refit them and things like that.
Okay, I just reread it. It is the turrets as well, isn't it? Okay. But again, 48 hours just learning, absorbing all that information. Yeah, it's a lot to ask. It's a small window, isn't it?
Even with watching the previews, you're not getting, all the information that you really would need.
Yeah, because everything.
Well, here's the other thing too, though. This whole it's like a whole new tier is going to come out essentially, right? Because it's going to be all brand new. So anything that people have found or have seen or have been passed on from the test server, I mean, it's just like with anything else that's been released in the game. People are going to come up with other stuff as time progresses. What's awesome on the first week isn't going to be the next week. I mean, we're gonna have to refit again. I mean, it's. Yep. I think the problem is that all of us know that it's going to take more than just like a week to have this settle in. And, I'm sure things are going to be found and they're going to have to adjust, which means that we're going to have to adjust. And that kind of bothers me because it's their correction. Why just 48 hours? Like, I don't understand what part of the economy it's going to break.
Well, in case people, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is if it's not just retrofits, it's everything, and dealing with probably your conquest yard. I hope they're able to limit it to that. I mean, unless it's like a 48-hour free for all and everything. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how they have the ability to place limitations. So if they have a limited ability to constrain what the players do. Yeah, then it can be a freaking free for all. That's if everybody's getting 70% off of everything in the game, then I can see the issue.
Yeah, I don't know that it's 70% off everything in the game.
But we don't know.
I mean, maybe it is. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is.
Just the tier 7, it says, doesn't it?
Yeah, but don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yeah, but it does say just the tier 7. It doesn't say anything else on there. What's his name? Golden Doodle. Yeah. It only specifically states tier 7. Doesn't say any tiers below that or anything else.
Yeah, but don't believe everything you read on the internet. So that might be why the problem is that they would break the economy of the game. I don't know. I mean, I really don't. I have no idea.
I mean, when they say that, they usually mean a certain aspect of the economy, and I'm kind of wondering which one. Like I'm pretty sure it's not gonna. I don't think they're talking about their own economy, because if they piss off the players too much, they're gonna lose economy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any part of the in-game economy that's gonna get disturbed by this, and I don't think that there is, because even if you let it be 70% for a week, I mean, like I said, even after a week, people are going to find new combos. I mean, if they do their job right and the refactor comes out and it's more or less balanced, there's going to be those, hey, I got to build more shit because holy crap, now I need more than one, revenant to lead this X, Y, or Z, base. Or, I mean, if they're bringing back the depth that we have wanted in terms of base hitting and base defense, I don't see the in-game economy being broken by increasing that 70% more than 48 hours. I don't.
No, me neither.
Nope. But I mean, lots of things in this game are kind of centered around the concept of haste. So.
Yeah, we'll
Is
see.
that a seven deadly sin?
Is it what?
I was wondering if haste was the seven deadly sin.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Is loquaciousness?
No.
Is that?
Yeah. Listen, it's loquacious mute. If anyone can actually
I read
get
it.
that, I know.
Of course
There was
I
so
got
many
it.
people. There was so many people
Not
that didn't get
complicated.
that. Oh, there were so many people that didn't get that.
Avarice.
Well, I think they
one
get
of
the
them.
mute part. I think they get that. So.
Yeah,
Or
but it doesn't. It's not funny unless you understand what loquacious means.
Or maybe they just think everything you said before wasn't, important anymore, because they think it's moot.
Oh, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
We should just write that. That would be funny to start calling loquacious.
Oh no! What's his face?
Heard it here first.
No, Alpha Wolf does that now. That's what he calls me, because
awesome.
he knew he's known me for a while, and he started calling me that like the first time he saw it. He's like, I like it, but you know what I'm gonna do, and I was like, you dick. So I don't know.
I didn't even have to, sort out. It was you just talking to you on Discord. I'm like, that's freaking George. Like, jeez.
The name gave it away. Well,
pretty well to some level, yeah. But just the way you talk.
I am glad that you guys hold me to that high of a standard.
But
So.
but from what I've seen, I wouldn't freak out unless you're one of the type of people that wants to freak out on stuff.
This guy is falling.
Yeah,
beat you
Chicken
to
Little.
it.
Chicken Little.
I mean, if you want to freak out on stuff, it's a great opportunity to do it. But it's if everything's not refit, I mean, yeah, it's not the end of the world. But I keep on throwing out suggestions on how they can fix it throughout the show. But it's not going to be the end of the world if everything's not refit right away, unless you're the type of person that wants, you get really bummed out if there's one blueprint you don't have out of the two. We're at 299 blueprints, and just in the advanced specials, everybody. If you include limited and whatnot, I don't have them all. But I'm so pissed that we don't have a sorting mechanism for all that crap. But I'm not pissed that I don't have some of them. But it's not something to get all that upset about. It's a transition in the game. We've seen them in the past. We'll see them in the future. And it's everybody else is going through it because it is PvP.
Well,
so everybody else in the game is going through it. And between the tokens, it really depends on what they pay out on tokens as far as your tier 7 technology. you could actually come out ahead. So that's the thing that I'm a little bit, questioning, that people are freaking out on, especially with the addition of tokens. We don't know how the tokens are getting applied, and I'm not an apologist for what they do, but you could end up ahead of the game and have better fleets than you had before relative to what they are today. But I don't know. I mean, but I don't believe everything I read on the internet, but there's a possibility there, and so don't freak out till you see it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it's going to upset the competitive players more than the players that have always poodled along. Because the people that like to have the edge, the people that like to be up there.
What does poodle along mean? I can get my poodle in here to mess with it.
Okay, English term, just sort of like sailing along merrily, you know what I mean, rather than in full attack mode all the time. If you get what I mean, yeah.
He likes to bite people, but yeah.
That's what my mixed poodle does, is kind of saunter along.
There's a lot of players that are just happy to play the game and they're not ultra competitive. They're not, they're so for them,
they're playing kick tie as opposed to other players.
Yeah, they're used to getting hit and flattened and come back on. So it's just going to be, oh well, I got flattened again, same as last week, Whereas a lot of the guys that have got the top bases and things like that, if they start getting messed up a lot more than they were used to, that's when things are going to, the shit's going to hit the fan. Basically, they're going to get upset if because the more competitive players want to get the balance right faster. The guys that are further down the chain, the food chain, should we say then? Yeah, I've always accepted that they're never going to quite have it yet, and so accept that they're gonna get, they're not going to have it.
Well, it's the same people that ask how come I woke up in a different sector?
Yeah, they're yeah. Where am I, man?
Where am I?
Yeah.
like your chloroform thing. Date night with Bill Cosby.
Yeah, yes.
And now they're going to wake up next week and all their fleets have changed,
Oh, yeah. Why is my fleet not working anymore? Like, oh, goodness.
Yep. Well, yeah. I mean, their PvE fleets should remain the same. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm just, so far I've seen, considering we don't know that much, I've seen a lot of player overreaction. Because they don't even know what's happening. I mean, people are charging back about something that they read about on the forums. Like, oh, okay, well, forums are always the best sorts of information. Actually, see what pops up in the game, and if you want to make your decisions from there, go ahead. But if it's not in the game, don't rely on the forums or what somebody might have told you to make these kind of decisions. That could be, the end of the game for you.
I think the forums are a great place to find, reasonable, sane people and good information.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's actually with the loss. Listen, with the loss of I don't even know if that's a loss, but I guess that's a good way to say it. With the loss of a certain mod, I mean, and the attitude has changed a little bit in the forums. It's not, it's still the forums, but I think it's much better than it was like a year ago.
Sure.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, I'm not criticizing the forums in general. I'm just saying.
I am.
The thing, yes, I know you. But I'm just saying things change. From what's written in the forums to what we actually see in the game.
Hang on, FA. I thought you were banned from the forums. You're getting secret information.
He got unbanned.
He's not banned anymore.
He paid off the right person finally.
Did he now?
A long process, but he finally sent the right person beer.
I didn't ask it. It's not really something the reason for it, I didn't ask. So
you sent the right person
I was asking for the request I have always made is that everybody that's banned from the forum should be able to read the forums.
Yeah, of course they should. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
And
can't
that was my
comment.
request. That was my
Yeah,
request.
especially if it's got.
So maybe I'm going to get rebanned in the next 2 minutes after being banned for 3 years. But
you should only be banned from contributing rather than being able to read vital posts. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's because there's
And
no
at some
logic.
point, but look, at some point too, after X amount of time, you made a mistake. I don't know that I've ever been a fan of
I didn't
permanent
make a
bans.
mistake. I didn't make a mistake. So
I'm not. Let's not get into that at all. That's all conjecture and opinion. So perspectives are key to that. And since we don't hold the keys to the kingdom there, it's their perspective that's important.
I think as long as you weren't outrageous, you know what I mean? There should be no lifetime ban on the forums, you know what I mean? Because
So
Yeah,
Big Raw
I
should be in
mean-
the Hall of Fame.
unless you weren't getting personal, you weren't getting personal, making threats against people's family or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like of members of.
Well, yeah, that's
staff
a
or
whole
something.
different. Yeah, that's a whole different story.
That's the crazy people I'm talking about. Now, Kicksai, I've usually used the forums, for that information, for what's going on in the game. I mean, what better place for it than where the game is? But I'm just talking about the crazy lunatics that jump on there and the sky is falling people. I just,
Yeah, I mean,
below that. Sorry,
I
go
don't
ahead.
use the forums anymore as much as I used to.
You don't sit here.
You know.
Huh?
yeah, I don't use the forums anymore as much as I used to in the past. Now I just check the official posts. Maybe a couple of things when people might have brought up if there's been a glitch somewhere. You'll see them come down. What's going on? But I used to be on there a lot more, and I don't now. And I make the occasional comment just saying, "Yep, same thing for me," just to let them know it's not just a one-off on that person. Because if only 1 or 2 people report a problem, it doesn't seem to get notified. But I think if a few of you or more of you add to it, then it adds weight, and then they look into it. So that's really about the only comments I ever put on there anymore now. I don't get too involved in the arguments because I normally find when it goes into them sort of 14-page ones, you end up people arguing with each other. There's little mini arguments going on, and they start trying to post a whole page of multi arguments going, and you're thinking, Jesus, get a room, guys.
Yeah, that they probably could if they just moved them all over into the just want to bitch and moan at each other room. Then it'd be probably fine.
Yeah.
No, I know more than you do. No, I know more than you do. You're both stupid. Go away.
I just say I don't know shit. That always works.
That always works. It would work with me. I'd totally believe you. So
you see them when they've had an argument, and then they keep posting onto the same argument and reposting that again and reposting that again. You think, is anyone ever reading this? It just scrolls straight past.
Some people do. Well, if you're talking to them, especially like yes, hello, must have been a stick or something. Like on the Facebook forums, it's just insane. I mean, it's bad enough on the Kickside forums, but on the Facebook pages, people are just crazy. And I have, posting regret, and I reply to something, or if I sort of get involved in any of that, I'm like, I really shouldn't have done that. Oh my goodness. I'm like, my notification bar is just going to be blinking all day. I'm like, goodness. So, but
I see people that have posted thousands of times and they put a comment on virtually everything, and you think, and they've got nothing to say.
no.
They had nothing to say, you know what I mean? And
then you get the ones that'll post
as if
like
they're just
3
trying to
words.
as if they're just trying to get a score or something. And how many times they've posted as if it's worth, I don't know, it's their version of like medals. That's another thing that's worth.
Well, there's an ongoing thing, I think, on one of the pages for how many contributions for the month and all that. And there's folks that do that for sure. But just
I think that's
probably the same page we're talking about. But
that's on Discord, isn't it? I think
well, that too. Yeah, Discord has that, but I'm just talking like with your various Facebook pages. But yeah, it I don't know. I usually just try to say something funny or whatever, and that's about it. I'm not, because you start arguing with people, they don't want to listen. I mean, I had one that just went Looney Tunes over the fact that I said no. It's been every month for raids since pretty much the beginning, other than like 1 month. I was there. Okay, well, you don't remember it correctly. I'm sorry.
The guys that swear
Yeah.
it was 3
Oh, yeah.
months at the beginning.
Yeah, 3 months and then a Christmas raid. It's how it went every time. I'm like,
I love those arguments.
I'm like, count how many raids we've had and then do basic math and get back to me. And let me know how that works out, because
it's been every single month except for 2. One month we had 2 and one month we had none.
I'm about to say there was 1 month where there was 2 in the same month early on. So
did they swear they've been playing for 10 years as well?
I think it was. I think it was. I think it was December that we had 2, and March that we skipped 1, or February that we skipped 1, or something like that. I mean, it was. They were close together. Because I remember people freaking the hell out because it was like 2 weeks apart, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. Well, then you get the same ones where it's, are they getting closer together? I'm like, no, they're not. Not really. I mean, maybe once when they do an adjustment, but other than that, they're the same distance. Or you get a 7-day raid, and then they're like, it's not supposed to be this way.
There's always at least 3 weeks,
Something like that. Yeah, the 7-day ones throw people off because you're farther into the week. So,
yeah. But of course, now they've mitigated that the 3 weeks between the raids by throwing a load of other.
Well, yeah,
raids,
raid lights,
that
raid juniors.
They're technically not raids, but they are.
Yeah, we didn't call it a raid; we called it an event.
Yeah,
we called it.
Well, I haven't called it a raid in a long time. Even everything's an
event. Yeah, it's an event now. So
that makes it sound more fancy.
So now,
fancy that way.
I think on the bacon one now, the event, the bacon event. We can't relocate on that either, can we? I don't think.
Nope.
Yeah, not anymore. Nope. Yeah, before it was up in the air.
And you can't change alliance.
We can't add alliance members, can we? After
no. It's because it's going to be going to be an event, and it's going to be leaderboard event, and it's going to be. I don't know if they're going to start it all at once or if they're going to start it like a raid. I think they're starting it like a raid. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. It might start all at once, but I know that you can't jump. You can't jump. You can't change alliances.
It's alliance leaderboard, and
so I don't see why you can't jump.
Well, because they're probably going to stagger the start. That's my guess. I mean,
they don't want you to start in alpha and then end in
Epsilon. Right,
gives you more time than everybody else.
Yeah, but does everyone have to then jump to World 5?
Well, if you're worried about it, yeah, pretty much.
Or unless you want to start off in alpha where there's potentially some big glitch where everybody gets.
Yeah, that's always the opportunity, much like the raids. Will they be given 5 times the points at the beginning? Yeah. You end up with 1 billion points, and
or just in half an hour. Yeah,
hedge your bets and put you right in the middle.
or you can put half your alliance in each.
There you go.
All right. Should we do some? Go back because should we go back to the refactor? Does anybody have any parting concerns or words or suggestions or anything that we should, wind down with? We've been going for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes straight. So only the diehards keep on, either watching us live or replay.
38 people are awesome. Thank you.
We're up to 50 something, but I'm thinking more about the people that are going to watch this later.
Well, yeah, okay.
Oh, they're just going to put it on and start, listen to it while they're doing their chores.
I normally roll for crows.
Or doing that. I mean,
that's a lot of crew rolling for hours.
I don't know, man. It takes forever to roll crews. Jeez.
Yeah, that's another thing that can be refactored.
It's so
there you go.
I have concerns.
It's time.
Wait, Mike. You have concerns. What?
Yeah, but I don't know what they are.
You don't know what they are?
He's just stocking up on Xanax.
Yes, I am. I have concerns, but I really am not sure what they are.
Xanax.
All right.
Ready.
Kick him and go to John then. Shit.
All right. Well, since you've been, I don't know. I'll leave you to last, George. Since you've been on the preview server, is there any cannon fodder? Do you have any?
There is a cannon fodder.
Any summary of your concerns or whatnot?
No, I don't have any massive concerns because I don't have enough information to know what to be concerned about. I mean, I could be all freaking out about all of it, and I just choose to go, we'll see what happens, and then I'll deal with it when it gets here, because I don't like working myself up into a tizzy about what I don't know yet. Because especially like, I mean, my concerns are probably the main as most people is am I going to be able to adjust my fleets to get back to hitting bases and doing what I enjoy doing?
Mhm.
But that's where it kind of stops, because anything more than that is just massive conjecture and chicken little stuff I don't want to do anymore. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. It's silly. Because
what would prevent you? Like, I've thrown out a lot of, like, I think crutches that Kickside could use in order to alleviate people's concerns. Is there anything that you agreed with, disagreed with, or want to add?
I definitely agree with splitting up the time period where we get this bonus, this ability to refit a little bit quicker. I think the initial one is fine, but I think there should be another one with a few days under our belt, or a week or whatever, to where we've had some time to kind of absorb what's going on, make some adjustments, and then so we're not all suffering for what we didn't do. I mean, we didn't code it, we didn't design it, so I would love to see that. And one silly thing, but I'm curious to see what they do with walls, and hope they continue beyond this, working on the game to make it more streamlined and more entertainment value than collecting stuff all the time. I'd like to see a lot more of that. So we'll see what happens. But
what did you think about the bubble idea? As far as
I heard the bubble idea. As far as what?
Well, giving players, like, I don't know, because they're going to have to refit their bases and all this kind of stuff, and it takes so long to repair and whatnot. The idea of giving them, I don't know. My first glance at it was like 3 one-day bubbles and a 7-day bubble.
Yeah, so like a protection that you buy, but you don't have to buy it.
You have the ability to do this in order to, because you're going to have 10 hours of repair on this, and you can't refit it, and it becomes frustrating. And again, it's not something
a short time period. That I would, if we're doing refits in the first 48 hours, I would love to see some of the repair times come down, to where you can adjust more or quicker, where you don't have to wait until almost a quarter of the way through it to then make an adjustment, and then hopefully maybe get hit in the time period where you can see if your changes worked or not. So then you can wait another 10 hours. I mean? Like I don't know. I think that would make it easier for some people, defensively trying to change stuff. I mean, not just solely focus on the main thing on the base hitting part of it. So.
Yeah, I think it would reduce the stress level, at least amongst certain players. But yeah, Watchman.
I suppose just getting the balance, isn't it? Just getting the balance right. I mean, I'm quite happy at the moment where my guard, my base defense is reasonable. Yeah, my attacking fleets, yeah, they're okay. They don't get in all, but they get in a lot. My concern is how long it's going to take me to get that balance back again. Because it's taken a long time to get there, and finding that balance again, I suppose. Yeah, getting your base that you're happy with, and getting getting a conqueror fleet that you're happy with as well. That's my main concern, I suppose. How long that's going to take everybody, or especially myself, I suppose, and purely selfish point. How long it's going to take to get back to where I actually am at the moment.
Okay. Makes sense. Lady Cat, did you want to participate in this?
No.
Yes, she does.
I want Magic Mike's Valium.
Danik.
Well,
He does Valium.
No, actually, I feel a little bit better now than I was feeling. Even though I should be probably more scared, realizing how many changes is there, that they're actually going to be. I think it's going to be hard on a lot of people, especially if they don't really know what's going on. And I try to find out what's going on, but I'm having a hard time understanding all these changes. So I know it's going to be hard on the community. And I guess just we need communication. We need the chart or the cross-reference like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to need communication. There's going to be a lot of frustration. I just don't want to lose any more players. I've lost enough friends as it is.
All right. Magic Mike, do you have any answers besides Xanax?
No. But I tell you, one of my problems is I probably won't PvP any more than I do now, and the PvP I do is to try and defend my base. And the biggest problem I have currently is I really don't know what I don't know yet. You know what I mean? It's coining a phrase, but
Yeah, it's the
I
fear
didn't
of
even
the
see a
unknown.
communication that said that there was a test server going on or anybody was streaming or anything like that, so I could look at it, but it's going to be on the base redesign stuff. You know, I have to try and absorb some of that somehow. And hopefully they will come out with enough information that you can put it together and not have to be totally dependent on your friends. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at. I've been longing to be independent, and so far hasn't worked out.
I don't think this is the event. I don't think this is a change to break out on your own, based on what I've seen. But
that's what I'm longing for. You know, I'm looking for that.
I'm not saying. I just don't think this is the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where my head's at. It's kind of like let's wait and see. I'm not going to quit. It's not something that I'm all upset about. I know it's going to be a change of life a little bit. I more care about doing the raids and things like that and having them at the lowest cost input. That's where I'm at.
Because I see this as more of a, the community needs to come together a little bit on this. That normally the community doesn't come together on PvP at all. And with all the changes, it seems like that some of those walls should come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Jordy, did you have anything to say, or are you just popping in for the after show?
No, I'm pretty much in Cannon's corner there. I don't think I can get concerned till I know what I'm dealing with.
Okay.
I think the 8-hour period is probably too short. I don't think your solution would necessarily work, because once you break it down to 24 hours and then you take off somebody's working day and commute and their normal life, that's only 6-hour blocks or what have you, if you know.
Well, my solution was based on the fact that they weren't willing to go over 40 hours.
Yeah, I mean, ideally it would be a timer based. Once you log in, you've got 48 hours and it stops when you log out, but that would be complex to accept.
But they are giving us the tokens. So they made a step in the right direction.
But did I read the tokens were time-based as well? You had to use them within a certain time period?
Several weeks.
Yeah, I think
3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, at least they don't. They last more than 48 hours. The actual tokens themselves,
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's a big world. In 48 hours, you got a lot of players, and there's some players that may not even log in within that time frame. You know.
Oh yeah.
You can also get the most benefit out of your tokens in that period too, though. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a holiday for the U.S. and the other countries probably working. So
I can refit and eat ham at the same time. I am confident.
there will be people that are driving.
Yeah, he's got 3 hands.
And there's not enough tryptophan in turkey to really make you that tired. It's kind of a myth, so you'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I'm going to Universal.
There you go.
All right. I think I've touched on everybody except for George. Your thoughts?
He wants to touch on your stuff, George.
Well, I mean, since the token idea got pushed in and through and everything, I mean, what I'd really ultimately like to see is a free day. I mean, just free anything tier 7, anything base defense. Just have it open to let players at least get a good chance to kind of tweak stuff, even if it's tweaking it wrong, at least they have a chance to tweak it. So that way, if they aren't on tier 7, if they're mid-level players, if they're low-level players, and they have, vanquishers and they want to kind of refit those. And I mean, people have to get ready for the refactor regardless of what level they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's still got to be able to defend their base. I mean, anything 80 and above, it's open game. So, there was some success with the token idea. I would love to see. I mean, that's the next one that I'm going to try is a free day. Just one day, just 24 hours. Just let it just go nuts. Because I mean, while the top end players probably have a good handle on ideas from what they've seen, everyone else is still just kind of like, what are we going to do? Right.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, something's going to change and we have no idea what it is.
yeah. So I think, and the other thing is it's PvP. So there's not a lot of sharing going on. So, those first 24 hours, I don't know that there's much economy to break because people are just going to be guessing. Well, I mean, the majority of players are going to be guessing, especially anybody that's, not at the top end or doesn't, hang out with those top end players and has access to that kind of thought process. So I don't know. I still have concerns. I have concerns about the transition more than the refactor. I think the refactor, if they buff it, I'm hoping they'll, do it Blizzard-like and, adjust dynamically on the fly. If they find something broken, they're going to adjust it. I hope. I would like to see that because it's such a big change. I don't think they're going to be able to be 100% when they come out of the gate. So I don't know. The transition, I think, I have more concerns about the transition and how they handle it more than the refactor itself, because you can always adjust the numbers, but you can't convince players to come back after you've pissed them off.
How would it be easier to understand? Well, if the turrets give a total damage that it was shown, that properly shown at the top, once you've applied whatever applies to them, right, a total, then you can go into your shipyard and then work out how you might want to build your fleets.
Well, I mean, me and Hefe have been saying that for shit. How long, man?
Yeah.
Hefe, how long have we been saying that?
But this,
Yeah,
this is
well over
now.
couple years. Yeah, it's ever since they've
Yeah.
they transferred a PVE. They take a PVE stat block and they put it on top of PvP.
Yeah.
Once they added deflection, it's been a long time since
this is now
it's broken.
Their opportunity to do that, isn't it? Well, they could actually do it.
I just haven't seen it yet, and they think that's a lower priority, which that worries me. That it's a lower priority to get some of these things, like once everybody next week is trying to refit all their ships, and you hear me, always whining about the fact there's no filter for your specials, and we got 299 of them. People are going to start to realize what I'm talking about.
Okay, 2 days of 48 hours to refit my ship share without knowing how the calculations of what the turrets are capable of. It's not the simplest thing in the world to do.
No, that's why I wanted to split it up.
Yeah.
All right, George, do you have any?
I mean, that was it. The transition has me concerned a little bit. I mean, I'm gonna still try and advocate for more. I mean, I still haven't seen anything about the turret refits because we're going from a total needed of 8 to 4 for the group bonus, so a lot of people are going to be changing up turrets. I have seen nothing mentioned about that yet.
Okay.
So,
sorry, what was that last bit again? You said, George, about
the transition's going to have us refitting turrets.
Yep.
So I haven't seen anything mentioned about any type of mitigation compensation package for that yet. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, there was something out about that, George.
Was there? Did they?
Yeah, it's just 70% extends to buildings, etc. I think that came out by one of the mods tonight. It was on one of the pages. It's one of the mods with a longer Kickside guys with a not longer name, like Snow.
Vengeful one?
No.
I mean, that's the longest named mod that we have, I think.
Yeah. I can't
Laredo,
remember.
Hyperius,
Reddit.
Templar. You know.
Was it you mean a GD?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, GD.
Laredo.
Well, it says 70%
Scargy? Was it Scargy or
No.
Saltwater?
Saltwater.
Saltwater. Okay.
It
George?
says 70%
Yeah.
discount on.
I just confirmed it with Laredo and Templar both in the third. Let me see what it was they said. First line of the third paragraph of his speech, it says, anyone that has built a Tier 7 Conqueror hull, Defender hull, or turret will receive a set of Tier 7 PvP refit tokens that will allow you to refit your existing content for completely free.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting. So they did go with the free day. Shit.
No. They didn't go with the free day. They went with enough tokens to make it free.
I mean, it's going to be essentially the same thing, though. That's all. I mean, if that works out,
it's very different, though. I mean, the way I see it, a free day is like you got to do all this shit on the first day.
Well, you could refit it 10 times in the same day, couldn't you, if it didn't work?
Yeah. No, I mean, I know, I know, I understand that, but I mean, from where we started the conversation of just 70% to that, I'm actually I'm taken aback.
Yeah.
Hot damn.
It's good as long as you refitted it right.
I mean, I'm still going to try and push for the one day, but it couldn't hurt. The one fear I have is that, you know, like I said, people are going to be refitting, and especially lower levels, they're going to get it wrong.
Yeah, don't make a mistake.
Well, you know how many of the lower levels are going to have that much Tier 7 equipment to begin with?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's true.
I mean, with turrets, I'm not as concerned because you have base parts.
Base parts, yeah. And we don't have base parts.
What's the longest turret that we have? Is it the Wendigo?
The Elite.
No, ECM, isn't it?
ECM.
I think they're all the same. The Cannibal Wendigo, the ECM, and what's the other one that everybody gave up on a long time ago?
Wasn't there the original Wendigo? I thought was still more than anything else, wasn't it?
Let me just see what it takes in the base.
They're both about 15 days after full base part.
After base parts, yeah.
I can tell you.
So what's the full day thing then? 23 or something?
Probably nearer 30.
Depends on what your full
Yeah,
is.
I think they are.
Full is changing.
About 28 days, I think. Some of them, yeah.
Let me see.
Without base parts.
So 28 days times 0.3 is...
These things aren't that
Wendigo. See what?
So that's 8.4 days. So yeah, you should be able to cover everything with base parts.
The Wendigo is not very long because with 1.5 million base parts, it's 18 hours beyond that to take a cold snap off and put a Wendigo on.
Oh.
I can't test the ECM. I can't test the ECM because I have 5 in.
Try Cannibal Wendigo.
10 days.
Cannibal Wendigo. There it is. That is, 10 days, 8 hours.
10 days, 8 hours. So that's a total
after full. Yeah.
So it is like about 28 days for just raw build time. So that's 8 days at 70% off, or 8.5 days. So you can cover that in base parts. But then still, you're going to be digging for base parts nonstop. People that don't have base parts or fleets to do base parts, you know.
Well, sure.
I'm going to need friends to help them in the SSRBs.
Yeah.
And people that have fleets to snipe the fleets that go get base parts.
Who would do that sort of thing?
Sniper's Paradise.
Well, I thought, weren't they limiting the
Conquerors.
Yeah,
so,
we still haven't got a clear picture on what's going on with sniping.
Yeah.
I mean, there was what just Mike talked about, and it seemed that we had an agreement on Discord across the community. And then what they're writing down now is a little bit more general and a little bit more vague. So we'll see how that works out. Unless anybody has anything more to share. But yeah, I've been a little bit disappointed.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's at least it's good that they addressed the turrets to some extent then, because I mean, I was kind of worried that, you know, if you wanted to try and mess with something with the turrets, you know, what were you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Court it.
Yeah,
Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
That ain't happening.
All right. Did I miss anybody that joined? Ram, you already had your say? Because I'm trying to wind things down after 2 hours.
No, he hasn't. I don't think he's gone. Did you actually say what you were concerned about? Yeah.
No, I was just talking about the turrets. I was trying to answer that question because nobody seemed to have a solid answer, even though it was in the text.
Well, then answer the damn question. What?
No,
last
I did.
thoughts? Last thoughts on the refactor?
No, nothing you did. I just wonder if he had anything more besides like, oh,
No,
what
you guys
happens
covered
if,
it.
well, what happens if Kyler Murray, doesn't come back next year and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
We got enough talent to cover it.
All right. That's all good.
How's Miami doing this year?
Whatever.
Okay. You're picking on OU next year, but we haven't discussed Miami this year.
No. Okay. This is irrelevant.
I agree.
But okay. Let's go to the after show. Anybody like to join us? Feel free. And see you all on Wednesday, when it should be a whole different world from what we've already seen.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. It's just going to be a different world. We should have a lot of things to talk about. Or it gets delayed again. I'm not certain, but it should be a whole different. There should be a lot of things to talk about. I'm not sure I'm up for like a 4-hour show or putting all the slides together. That's
Thanksgiving marathon. Let's do it.
The combination.
It's going to take you 48 hours to run the slides.
Oh, it could. I'm a little worried about that. But thanks everybody for showing up to the show, and I'm going to post one last time in case anybody would like to join the after show, and we can talk about any concerns you have and
Any concerns?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't want to talk about their chafing issues, but yeah, any concerns on the game, we can talk about. So, thanks all for showing up, and we will see you on Wednesday. Good night,
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.